How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you exactly what it's like to drive the 996 generation Porsche Turbo from a first-person point of view, and also tell you why this might just be one of the best sports cars you can buy for under $50,000. Now, the 996 Turbo was built from 2001 to 2005, and the 996 generation is kind of the forgotten stepchild of the 911 family. We had the 993 before it, the gorgeous styling, the last air-cooled Porsche, and those have skyrocketed to over $300,000 for the turbo variants. Then, of course, we had the 997 that replaced this one. Better looks, better performance, but that's actually a good thing. Well, the 993 is skyrocketed to over 300 grand, and the 997 is over 100 grand. This can be found in the $50,000 range. Let's go ahead and pop the rear engine bay cover, which thankfully on this generation of 911, you can actually see a bit of the engine. If you guys remember my 992 Porsche Turbo review, you literally can't see anything. So lifting up this rear wing that's actually hydraulically actuated, at 76 miles an hour, it pops up. However, it's very common for these wings to break, so a common modification is to buy an aftermarket kit that essentially locks it in its upright position. At the heart of the 996 Turbo is a 3.6 liter twin turbocharged flat six, making 420 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 rips by in just 4.2 seconds. That's thanks to the fact that this car is in fact all-wheel drive, and it's available either in a 6-speed manual, which this one is, or a 5-speed Tiptronic. Obviously, the correct decision is to get the manual transmission. Now, I know this car doesn't have an air-cooled setup, so it's a bit sacrilegious in some people's eyes, but this car, despite being water-cooled, used the 1998 Le Mans winning Porsche GT1 engine for its development. I thought that's pretty cool. The 996 Turbo is offered in both coupe and convertible form. Starting in 2004, they released the convertible variant. That was actually the first time a turbo cabriolet was readily available for production since 1989. They also made a Turbo S variant that came standard with carbon ceramic brakes and 30 more horsepower for a total of 450. But one of the best packages you possibly could have bought on the 996 Turbo was the X50 package, which was unveiled in 2002, and it gave you larger turbochargers, larger intercoolers, a remapped ECU, and a power boost up to 444 horsepower. Well, guys, enough talking. Let's go ahead and hop into the 996 Porsche Turbo and show you what it's like to drive from a first-person point of view. Like all Porsche models, the ignition is actually on the left side of the steering wheel. The reason being is, pre-1970, the 24-hour of Le Mans races started with the drivers outside of the car, and they actually ran across the racetrack and hopped into their vehicles for a running start. So if you can imagine, having the key on the left side of the wheel would allow you to hop in, put the key in with the left hand as you push in the clutch, and with your right hand, put the car into gear for a faster takeaway. Kind of a cool little Porsche feature. I really like that. The interior, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the prettiest. It's kind of just as much unloved as the exterior of the 996 Turbo. Honestly, this car has grown on me over the years. If you asked me 5 years ago what I thought of the looks of the 996 Turbo, I would have said, I'm really not a fan. But other than the headlights, I do think this car does look pretty decent. However, if you do take a look at the headlights, I mean, they went from these gorgeous round circles in the 993 generation, and it's almost like the designers went to a Picasso art museum on acid and went, yep, that's how we're gonna design a headlight. And they came out with the weirdest shape ever. And clearly, they decided it wasn't a good idea because they changed it for the 997 generation. I do love this side air intake, signature little turbo vent there. Now, some other cool parts of the interior, we actually have a little hidden storage compartment right here inside the door itself. I actually like that. It looks classier. You don't have any netting, so on and so forth. I think they should use that in more sports cars. Now, check this out. If we turn on the power and we go ahead and look at the climate control, it doesn't say manual, it says manuel. I don't know why, but I'm guessing that is German for manual. All right, guys, let's go ahead and fire up this flat six. Give it a little rev for you. All right, off we go. I will say, for a 20-year-old car, this thing is still exceptionally fast. I mean, 444 horsepower at the time was ridiculous, but even still, with its relatively light curb weight and all-wheel drive, because this has the X50 package, it really does start to pull once those turbos kick in. Now, unlike modern sports cars, there is a bit of noticeable turbo lag until you get, well, that's 4,500 RPM. It's not quite as much of a rush in terms of the acceleration, but right at about 4,500, it really slams you back into your seat. Now, the turbo variants have never been known for having a brilliant sound. In fact, some people say they sound somewhat like vacuum cleaners. The 996, it's not bad. Obviously, it doesn't make a beautiful exhaust note because, well, those turbos eat away at that gorgeous flat six noise. The 996 Carrera S with the sports exhaust actually sounds really good, which is kind of funny considering this car obviously costs a lot more. But that's, of course, traditional with naturally aspirated versus turbocharged vehicles. I will say I do like the design of the steering wheel. I like the design of the seats. But the actual center stack here for the climate control and the multimedia is really dated and frankly kind of ugly. But that's all right because this car handles really well. Exceptional amount of grip because of that all-wheel drive platform. And it's kind of got the perfect amount of power to enjoy with a manual transmission. You know, the new generation 992 Porsche Turbo is so flippin' fast that it almost doesn't make sense to have a manual. But because this car is comfortably in the 400 horsepower range, it just begs you to row through the gears. Now, speaking of the gears, it's got a really notchy shift linkage. It's actually kind of difficult to put it into each one of the gears, but once they're in, it does have a nice, precise mechanical feeling to it. And it almost feels like it's got a relatively kind of almost aftermarket short shift kit from the factory, but this one is fully stock. I also really like the full analog gauges for the instrument cluster. We've got turbo written on the center of the center mounted tachometer. We got a speedo on the left that goes up to 200 miles an hour, and then some other information to the sides. Steering wheel, absolutely nothing on it. The only thing it's meant for is turning. There's no buttons for the radio, volume, anything like that. It's a Porsche and it's dedicated to the driving experience. Now look, it's not as pretty as a 993 or a 997, and it's true, honestly, in my opinion, it might be the ugliest generation of the 911. But use that to your advantage because these cars are honestly undervalued for what you're getting. You're still getting a Porsche, it still handles like a Porsche, it accelerates like hell, and it's 50 to 60 grand right now. And I think eventually these things are gonna climb and climb and climb, especially as things go more hybridized and electrified. And the fact that you can get a 911 turbo with a manual transmission is a pretty cool thing since you can't get one anymore. Now, the brakes work exceptionally well in this car. Visibility is really good as well. I mean, you could daily drive this car, no problem at all, because you can see all the way around you. Every dimension is easily accessible, and placing the car on the road is honestly a breeze. And because it's all-wheel drive, of course, you can drive it in inclement weather. You can drive it in the rain. It really doesn't matter. Now, this car has 176,000 miles. That's right, a German sports car with 176,000 miles that hasn't blown up. That's because these cars are actually pretty darn reliable. According to the owner, they've really done nothing other than oil changes and brake jobs. The only thing that's actually failed was the rear hydraulically actuated wing, which it was gonna be about $2,500 to fix apparently, but instead of that, Found this guy in Florida that built an aftermarket kit to have the uprights actually maintain the upper position of the wing, which honestly looks cooler in my opinion. And look, it's not a full-fledged race car. Do you really need that adjustable spoiler, changing her downforce and drag levels? No, you don't. Really is impressive for a car built in 2004 to still feel fast when modern cars have gotten absolutely out of hand in terms of their acceleration. I think it might be time to do a little launch. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Damn. All right, I'm gonna shut up for the rest of this review, let you listen to the 996 Turbo. Here we go, through the canyons. Well guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I'm curious, comment in the comment section below, what do you think is your favorite or definitively the best performance car for under $50,000 in the used car segment? All right guys, look forward to seeing you next video.